Our topic today is we will do more on the question and answers because we will make sure that we get all the information and the wisdom that we can ask from our guest or resource person. And why do we service and service reporting this time of pandemic? So service, that's what we do, service. And why do we report? Why do we report? So that we can share our stories, we can report or measure our impact, and we can unify our service organizations, the Lions Club International, and inspire others or our community, and we can capture the global audience. So that's what we do. You do service, you improve our organization, and we increase our membership. And there are two services or reporting that we do. One is our MMR monthly, and the SAR, the service activity reporting, which is recommended to be done monthly, but it's not mandated. We are only mandated to report every year. So once a year, something like that, or it's not monthly, but we are encouraging everybody to report. So now we have now our she is also my co-host, PDG Esterly. Can you do now our invocation, please? PDG Esther.
Fine, June.
You can unmute our invocation.
Okay, sorry. But gracious Father, we thank you for the opportunity to meet together today. May your love surround us, your spirit guide us, your voice cheer us, your peace calm us, your shield protect us, your wisdom arm us, wherever you may lead us. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PDG. So we have discussed a little bit on why we report. And again, we are only speaking or discussing on the service activity reporting, which is SAR. Again, but the SAR is not only service that we're going to report. We report the service and other activities, which are include the donation, the fundraising, and meetings. So those are 4 things to be reported in our SAR. And who are the people responsible for the reporting of these services or activities? The club president, the club secretary, the club administrator, and club service chair. 4 people who are responsible. Everybody, every one of us are responsible to make sure that the responsible Lions report our activities. And I have, why do we have to report? It's important, very, very important, so that at least we know if we are meeting our goals. So next is what we are going to do now is we have to do this brief sharing of what you are doing during this pandemic. Briefly, if you want to share, we give you 30 minutes, 30 seconds to 45 seconds to share what you do. We'll ask our technical person to demonstrate how to make reporting. Then later on, we'll give the floor to our resource person or guest speaker so that he can educate us. Then we can ask our questions, which is the most important. I think the question and answer is the most important because there's a lot of confusion. Okay, so anyone to share what they do in their community during this pandemic? You can raise your hand so that at least we can give you the floor. Okay, I would like to ask our guests from other district, the district chair of is it L2, Lion Kathy?
I'm in L5.
L5, okay, L5, Lion Kathy.
Yeah, I'm a district service chair and state ND4 service chair. A lot of our clubs in our district, which is made up of San Bernardino and Riverside counties, we've been doing a lot of food distributions, at least before Christmas. A lot of them were doing that. A lot of our clubs did toy drives to give out the toys at Christmas and feeding the homeless and veterans. My club today, we helped our school teachers, volunteers build desks that will be given to school students that are at home and don't have a desk at home. So we built 70 desks. They're all wood and you have to put them all together, sand them and everything like that. So that's what we've been doing.
Thank you very much, Lion Kathy. Now I would like to ask Lion Eleanor Britter. Unmute yourself and I give you maybe 1 minute to share.
Thank you, Dr. Valera, Second Vice District Governor. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for the meeting. Of course, we're doing everything of feeding also. We're feeding veterans every month, about 160 veterans every month. We do our regular food service, which is this year, in the year 2020, we amassed with our farmers 3 million pounds of food, and we fed a lot of people. A lot of homeless people. So we sent that food to all of our shelters. That is not just our shelters, but our feeding outlets. We did raise $50,000 for iPads for the children at school. We have eKids Internet Power, which is a curriculum of health and wellness for children in the schools. And it's going very, very, very well. We have our usual global initiative for health and wellness that is preparing PPE for as many outlets that need it, both in this community and abroad. And there was a whole 500,000 delivered, $500,000 worth of PPE delivered here in this community and in Arizona, and another 200,000 for the entire world that was sent out. We work with a Filipino distributor who takes very, very good care of us, and we are very happy to have him. Thank you very much for that. We also have testing kits now, and they were, and I do need to talk to you about that. I need to consult on that later, Dr. Valera, if you don't mind. But we're doing it, and Dr. Valera is doing it. I gave him 200. I can give him 200 more testing kits, and we will get the virus, the Moderna virus. It looks like on the 18th. That's what the letter said, that we'll get it on the 18th of January. We'll see if we get it. We will not distribute it unless we get both the first vaccine and the second vaccine. So if I don't get the second vaccine, we'll wait until we do, and then I'll let you know. That's about it. We did.
Thank you very much, Lion Eleanor.
Yeah, we did the drive-through clinic with Dr. Valera and Liz Yulo, and it was wonderful. Thank you very much, Liz Yulo, and thank you very much, Dr. Valera and August, and everyone else.
Thank you very much, Lion Eleanor, and I would like to welcome our participants from A711, Second Vice Governor Lion Ferdy.
Good evening,
Welcome.
fellow Lions.
Welcome. So now we have now three constitutional areas present in our meeting. We have from Canada, the Philippines, and the USA. Now there's a hand raised. I would like to ask Lion Melite Wood, who is the charter president of the Bear Island Lions Club. Lion Melite, I give you 1 minute, please. Unmute yourself.
Dr. June, can you give me like 5 minutes? I'm with a guest at the moment, so I'll get back in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, and another person who is raising his hand a while ago is Lion Emil. I'll give you 1 minute.
Yes, thank you very much. This is regarding recruiting Lion members, and instead of using paper business cards, we now have available, and that's the reason why I invited Len Ordonio, is he could speak about it intensely. But this is regarding a bump card. This is a digital bump card, and you don't even have to hand it over. All you have to do is touch the cell phone of your recruit, and it will transfer information to his cell phone card. And yeah, that is a new thing, a very new thing. It's like buying stocks from Twitter or something like that. But this is a very good tool for recruiting Lion members. Okay, it's very quick, and all you have to do is touch their cell phone, and all the information about Lions is going to transfer to their cell phone. Everything that you want worldwide.
That is a very good. That is a very good idea, Lion Emil. I hope they will also pay by Venmo through their phone, and they pay automatically, because that is a problem.
Yes, that is something, either PayPal or their card if they want to come in. But this is something like a Google, a Twitter. It's like a Facebook, but it is faster and better. I believe it or not, I will send you the information, Dr.
Thank you.
Valera.
Yes.
You and August.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. We can just discuss that recruitment on offline or something, and we will continue with our process. So any service projects that you're doing, anybody, so that we can proceed with our program.
Lion Melite is ready.
Lion Melite, please go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Myself. Let me just report to you guys that we are in collaboration with the Street Life Ministries and a nonprofit organization, Polynesian nonprofit org in Daly City. So we distributed at least 1,000 hygiene packs. And also we have been feeding the homeless every Wednesday and Friday in San Mateo. And that is about between 80 to 100 people every feeding session. On top of that, we distributed a lot of new clothes to the homeless in Redwood City and also in Santa Cruz area. And we will continue with our service projects until probably the next few months. Thank you.
Thank you, Lion Melite. So that is the purpose of what we are doing. So we are doing a lot of things during COVID pandemic, and I'm going to give you a scenario so that there's a lot of confusion. What we did on this COVID pandemic is we did a drive-through flu shot program in our district, and it's a joint, it's a multi-club joint project. There are around nine
clubs,
9 participating clubs, and it also includes the nonprofit organization, and includes also the Department of Health, and we provide there are different services that provide, and since in one day in a day there will be around 5 clubs participating, and each club they have maybe 2, another club 3, another club 4, and we have sections. The first and I will show you a YouTube, a brief YouTube of this, and then we can analyze, because this is sort of like a case study on how to make the reporting, because now you have 9 clubs participating in a joint venture project, and how they're gonna report it. So many persons served, something like that. It's a little bit, if you analyze it, it's a little bit complicated. So I would like to ask our technical person to start the YouTube. Then after this presentation, we'll ask our technical person to do a demonstration on how to report. Then after that, I'm going to give the floor to our resource person. Okay, Leo Lion August, can you please start our YouTube?
Okay. Everyone see it?
So let's start the shorter version. This is the drive-thru clinic, okay. So this is the first station where we do this COVID screening, where they check this, they are exposed to COVID, and there's a lot of questionnaires, and that is the first station. Usually there are 4 to 5 volunteers on this. Then the second station will be the registration. There's a volunteer to check if they register online. We will give them form, a waiver, sort of waiver to sign. Then that is the second station. This usually around 4 to 5 volunteers. So the patient is Lion August, and he's doing demonstrating, but he's also a patient. I have a longer version on this. So that is the second station. Now, after the second station, he will go to the third station. The third station is where they give the flu shots. So the health volunteers verify the forms and need to sign the seal. And all stations, we follow the protocols of CDC guidelines, as well as the Department of Health protocols, as well as the HIPAA requirement.
As you can see, Dr. Valera, and everyone who's on the call, you can see everyone that's administering the actual flu vaccine. They are wearing masks, and they are wearing face shields, and they are wearing gloves.
So can I give it to the left side? Okay.
Bibenta ka.
I know, huh? Okay. After
Again,
you set, you need
there are
to
9
set
clubs
your-
participated on this. The Global Health Initiative, the Samaritan House, the Department of Health of the San Mateo County, as well as the District 4C4 Health Fair Committee headed by Liz Yulo. So, and the Global Health Initiative is headed by Lion Eleanor Britter.
You can stay there for a few minutes and then you can go after that.
So
okay?
after the
You're
vaccination,
very-
the patient will be given a card indicating that he received the vaccine. Then after the third station, he will go to the fourth station. The fourth station, the patient parks the car for 15 minutes for post-vaccination adverse effect. So the whole process from station 1 to 4 takes around 18 to 19 minutes. And
At
the
the time,
patients can register,
Dr. Valera, at the time that
the patient can register, they walk in. So that is our drive-through flu shot. So at least the Lion Richard knows the process. So now I'm going to give the floor to Leo Lion Agos, so that at least I know that there's a lot of service chairs in here who knows how to report, and we will just give, this is for the benefit of who are not or know how to report. Can you do the demonstration, Lion Agos?
Okay, hi, I'm Lion August. I'm the son of First Vice District Governor Dr. Jun, and I'm also the one of two global service team global action team service coordinators for District 4C4. And today I will be doing not even really a demonstration on how to report service, but just where you can find the resources if you don't know how to report service currently. And again, it's not so much a new system, but every year we get new club officers who may not be familiar with the processes of Lions International and how to report and all that. And especially this year with the pandemic starting in March, it's most likely that you weren't able to get the full training experience you would have been afforded. So you might not know exactly how to do it. So I'm speaking to the ones who don't know. And for those who are quite familiar with this, please be patient. And I promise I'll only take 3 minutes or so just to go over and talk about service reporting. So the first thing is that Lions Club's service reporting. You can easily Google this and it'll take you to the service reporting page of Lions International. Just to be sure, can everyone see this? Or one person at least? Hi, Dr. Jun?
Yes, you can see, I can see it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So this has a lot of information that undoubtedly Lion Richard and whoever else will be reporting on service reporting will talk about more in depth later. You can also see in the video is our own PDG Ken Ibera from our district standing behind International President Dr. Choi. But anyway, going down to the bottom of this page is the most important part, which is where to report. And this is the link to My Lion, which is the website where service chairs, secretaries, presidents, and club administrators can report service, as well as the links to the mobile apps for various devices. And then below that is some resources. All of them are very informative, but the one that I find the most useful for beginner is the one on the far left. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it. It's called My Lion, How to Report and Celebrate Service Guide. If you open this up, you'll download to your computer. You can open up the PDF. And then this is, the most bare bones explanation you can ask for when it comes to reporting service. It has pictures. It has very clear instructions of what steps are needed to report service. First, go to lionsclubs.org. Click member login at the top, big red arrow, log into your Lion account. And if you don't have a Lion account, then you're going to have to go through a bit more processes of getting your Lion member number and getting your birth date and email or phone number from your club roster, assuming that you've already.
Where can you find your member ID? The easiest way.
Yeah. So, well, first off, hopefully your club secretary has been filling out your club monthly membership report. So they should have access to my LCI, which is where they can report no membership changes and can also report officers and change member information. So that's the first step. Contact your club secretary. They should have been trained quite in depth about that. And if not, then the other useful tip is that it is at the top, or it is the second line of the Lion magazine address label that you receive if you are in a geographical area that receives the Lion magazine. The first number on the second line, the first number is your club ID number, and the second number is your member number. And it helps if you compare your magazine with another member in your clubs, because then you can see that one number is the same and the other one is different. And the one that's unique to yourself is your member ID. But anyway, assuming that you are able to get past this step, the next is at the member portal, which is sort of a new page that LCI has come up with recently. You'll see the My Lion app as one of the things to click on. And of course, we're talking about on a computer now. There are similar steps for the phone app, but I'm assuming most people are able to get access to a computer and it's easier that way. Then you go and you report a past activity at the top. There's also a bit more complicated series of steps for future activities, but we're covering the basics here. You click after that, you can see a list of past activities that were unreported if they were reported by one of the members of your club. But if you're creating a new one, you'll click on the orange Report Plus button. And again, only reporting officers will see this. So everything up until that point, any member can see My Lion, can access My Lion, can see reports, but only reporting officers can actually make a report. And then this is the meat of it. This is all the information that is required to fill out a service activity report. Most of it at the top is filled out for you, your club, and let's see, you'll add the activity name, the date, what type, and Lion Dr. Jun briefly mentioned this earlier. There is service activities, meetings, donations, and fundraisers as the 4 different types. What cause, so it could be one of 5 of Lions International's global service causes or other, and there are sub causes below that. So you could say hunger and then feeding the hungry or food bank distribution. But you know, you can explore that on your own. And then lastly, it'll ask for, and I don't believe that it's shown here because they haven't selected service activities, but for if you're reporting a service activity, which is the primary purpose. Yeah. Oh, sorry, let me mute that. But if you're reporting a service activity, then you would be asked some of the reporting metrics, some of which are number of people served, number of volunteer hours, number of volunteers, etc. And then lastly, you put your community impact. So like what did your service accomplish? How many people, or like what were you do? Do you feed, you know, a certain amount of people? Did you donate a certain amount of eyeglasses, etc.? And that's where you'd report that. And lastly, submit. So again, all of the information that you're looking for to start, at least, can be found at lionsclubs.org/service-reporting. And I'll copy this and post it into the chat. Thank you. And the rest of the time to Lion Dr. Jun and Richard.
Thank you very much, Lion August. So I think we should make it simple, and I'm thinking how to engage our lions to report. And I'm thinking, I think it's common sense and ABC 1, 2, 3. That's what my idea is. Common sense. ABC. What is ABC? Or I think common sense, ABC 1, 2, 3, or W3. Those are the 2 things that I'm thinking what I should tell my lions. The ABC is what, when, where. Food bank, where? In San Francisco, when, the time, December 12 or something. And the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 are also numbers, which is very important. The 1 is the number of volunteers. 2, the number of hours, volunteer hours. 3 is the people served. So those are only the 3 numbers that very, very important. Where of course I'm talking about service activities, what we really do. So 1, 2, 3. So or sometimes I tell them only 3 numbers. All you have to do is the 3 numbers: number of volunteers, number of hours, and number of people served. Those are the most important. So I think now I'm going to give the floor to our resource person, and again with Lion President Lion Richard Castillo. Please take it away.
Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome. Greetings, and thank you for having me join you this evening for your Lions meeting for service. So in regards to large projects like this, the cleanest way, I mentioned this in my presentation a while ago when I was in MD4's convention before the whole country went on lockdown, was that the best, cleanest way for you to report this particular type of service when multiple clubs are involved is having the district service chairperson report the number of people served, because it can get complicated on trying to divide the actual number of total people served amongst clubs, because then at least the numbers get counted and the service projects doesn't have any misleading information in regards to the actual, it's not doubling the number of people that are served. So having the district GST person reporting that service of the people served is something that I would recommend for that particular area. In regards to contribution, in regards to food, supplies, materials, I would say that my recommendation for that, and in my consultation with service activities, is that you would report that as a donation of the monetary value of all the items that were purchased that your club contributed to that service project. So that would be the best practice, but all in all, clubs can and should report their service, because it then kind of gives best practices to other districts who are thinking of trying to do the same type of health project that you guys are doing in your district in regards to the vaccine for the flu shot vaccine, and also any other drive-through clinics that other people would be interested in doing in other regions of the world. So it also highlights the best practices. And that's where, when you guys were talking about earlier, I think it was Lion Eleanor and Dr. June, VDG June was talking about like following healthcare policies in regards to the regulations in your local and regional areas. It's actually good to kind of see how they've taken the instruction guidelines from the government in implementing and also ensuring the safety of the Lions that are volunteering. And in regards to the volunteers, you would report that, so you would still report that as your individual club participating in that service activity. You would just take the number of people that from your club who were actually present at that particular service activity in regards to the drive-through clinic or a healthcare fair or any type of event that multiple clubs are participating in. So, and also you would include the number of people that you guess, like potential prospective members that you decided to bring along with you on that to participate in that service project. So you would report that number of volunteers and also the number of hours in that project. I don't know if there was any other additional questions that you had, Dr. VP June, VDG June.
Thank you very much. Before we ask Lion Richard some questions, and I would like to welcome First Vice District Governor David Hamilton of 4A2. And I would like also to welcome Service Chair of I think L3 for L3 Lion Nick.
Oh, Nick.
So Lion Richard, just for the information of everybody, our tech people are very good in our district, that in the drive-through clinic even is online. So they register online, and we have also the number of patients served every day is we put it in we created demographics of patients. So every day we put how many we report. It's in the website of Global Initiative for Health and Wellness. Every day they put how many patients served, they even put 0 to 5, 5 to 10 years old, then 18 to 44 or something. So there's an even male and female. So it tells you so that at least when we analyze, because when we analyze the data, we can at least make some recommendation. And at the same time, every day we have also list of volunteers. So we have including what station they were. Station 1, 2, 3, especially the medical volunteers, we have at least have their licenses current, etc. So the protocol, the planning of this drive-through clinic took us several months, and in fact, the Department of Health of San Mateo adopted the protocol. This is in preparation for the COVID vaccine. So most probably, as Lion Eller is the one in communication with them, there's a high possibility that the Lions clubs, our volunteers, will be the push our committee. So I think that is the product of the innovations that we started in our district. So again, is there any question? This is now our chance to ask your questions regarding the confusions or anything about service. Line Richard, you can raise your hand, or you can use the chat. You can raise your hand.
Before I start taking questions, I'm going to drop a link onto the chat box. It's also a guide if you just really need, if you can't get a hold of me or somebody from service activities. It's pretty much a straightforward guide on how to report and like how do you determine the number of people that are being served in your community, and also regarding donations and how that should be actually reported onto the system.
Okay, yes, Lion Eleanor.
Oh.
Yes, Richard, and everyone actually, you know, when we did the drive-through clinic, it was a more complicated procedure from a standpoint of reporting than any other project that we really do. And that is because if you take just one station, which is not the stations of the actual drive-through clinic, but the food station, right? We had Marlene taking care of the food station, whether it was breakfast or whatever it was. And we then had another station of things that medical PPE that people would need, and they could go and take it and use whatever they would need. So that preparation and taking care of lions while they're taking care of people is just as important to count as taking care of patients, right? And they should count that, because when you're feeding lots of people and when you're preparing tables for them, like Liz Yulo may not have been giving out the actual injections, but she was there making sure that the flu shots were there, making sure that every single thing that the nurses needed was there and taken care of. So my belief in the way that you're phrasing it, to have the GST actually calculate how many people rather than each person, I think might be a little different. Another example would be after, at the 15-minute time when cars would be resting, waiting to leave, we would then go around with their registration for the free clinic. That was a very important thing. So every person that came through, we then were seeing them over here. So maybe the person who is directing traffic and putting that car in the parking stall is also giving them this new form to fill out for the clinic, you see. So everyone has contact with these people, believe it or not, and it's hard to know who does, who doesn't, but everyone is taking care of each and every patient that comes through. And there's no question in my mind, as well as they're taking care of each of their fellow Lions.
So, Line Eleanor, so the only reason why I mentioned this GST reporting the number of people serviced, if you have, for example, you have 100 people come into your drive-through clinic, and each club reports that they have 100, like you have like 5 clubs that are participating, you've just doubled onto the system 500 people, which technically you didn't have 500 people, you only have 100 people.
I don't agree, Richard. I don't agree, and let me tell you why. And I noticed this definitely at this flu clinic, because everyone was taking care of everyone. And that, when you do that for 6 to 8 hours, we arrive at 8 o'clock in the morning, we don't leave until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, when you're, and yes, you might take a break, a 5-minute break here or there. The truth is that everyone is on the job. Everyone is taking care of each and every one of those people. So I don't agree that it shouldn't be counted. Even though it looks like we're double counting, we're not, because
but the reality is, Line Eleanor, if we are to provide the actual real information and actually calculate the right information, we need just the exact number of people actually served. We encourage each club to report each person and the hours that you individually did in your club as a whole. Then we are able to connect that to this overall district project that your club was involved, so everything is counted and we acknowledge and recognize everybody's participation. It's just the actual people served needs to be accurate for us, because then if we were to go and say, for you guys, if you guys were to go and we have a grant in the foundation later on to be able to do like these big vaccine and clinics, then you would want to at least be able to pull the right information that you did for each project, for each of the things that you were doing to serve, that so you actually have the correct data in your grant information. You know, you're able to highlight and point the number of people that that all the lines did to serve that group of people. So if you have like what Dr. Jun was mentioning earlier, you're recording and you're reporting each day the actual number, then that's the actual right number of people that were actually served. Reporting the people who actually did the service is something that's very critical and important to show that, you know, these are the number of hours, this is the time commitment lines did to prepare and execute, and also follow through with all the things that you guys do after people come and visit your health clinics, whether if it's something that they need to come back and then need to go get a referral to see either to talk to a primary or to see somebody within one of the local clinics.
Thank you very much, Lion Richard. And first,
LCI does not agree with that.
Well,
I think we need to have this discussion.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I think we need to have this discussion a little bit more.
We have
Richard,
to.
LCI does not necessarily agree with that because what they want you to do is they want you to put in there that this was a multi-club event and all of us worked on 500 people, like that. They want you to say that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lion Eleanor. Excuse me. Yes. So anyway, thank you very much, Lion Eleanor. So before we start, we will continue. I would like to recognize a good friend, a great Lion leader, DG Thibault Richards of A711. Welcome, DG Thibault.
Thank you and good night, everyone, and Happy New Year.
And I would like also to recognize a young from the Philippines. He is the district secretary of 301D, Lion Jeff Samoranos.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good
Jeff,
morning.
and say
Happy New
hello.
Year.
So it's morning in the Philippines, and it's Sunday, January 10. So we have in 3 different time zones at this point in time. And I would like also to recognize First Vice District Governor Bong Gracia of 4L3. Welcome, Lion Bong.
Hello. Good evening and good morning to the Philippines.
So thank you very much. So reporting is very important, but you know, as we did,
yes, of course.
what number does not change, which is always constant, is the number 2 numbers. One is the number of volunteers. That will never change. Number 2 is the second number, which is the number of volunteer hour change. The one that we do not, it's hard to understand, is the people served. But it's true in reality, Lions Club International does not want bloated report. They want the actual, so that at least they know what we are doing. Real deal is the truth. So as Lion Richard said, that you have 100 people, 100 people. No matter how you gonna do, you gotta report all these things. For example, one club does the case study is the drive-through clinic. One person, for example, one person who is a member of a club, what he does only is COVID screening. He does the COVID screening, and he screened 100 people. So if you base only on that he served as a screener, it's 100 people. But so if you split all those small services that you provide, then it's a different thing. But if you put in all context, that's only on my opinion. It's only my opinion. As again, 100 people is served on the complex health fair. 100 people, whether you like it or not, it's 100 people. It cannot be 500. It cannot never be 1,000, because at the end of the day, there are only 100 people, and that is, you cannot change that. But however, if you want to talk about services, that's different. That's different. My opinion is different. Like if my service is screening, then I screen 100. Or if I did shots 100, then something like that. So if probably if you, that is my humble opinion. But anyway, we have a specialist here from LCI, Lion Richard. That's the reason why he's here to guide us. And we know that we have our own opinions. And I would like to the district chair, service chair of Lion Kathy is raising his hand. Lion Kathy.
Okay, Richard, I need clarification on what you just said, only because you said that the district service chair should report it as a district project if it involves more than one club, correct? Isn't that what you said? And you put down how many people, for instance, 100 people were there, was served. Say there was 50 lions from each one of the, from the clubs. Okay, I understand that part. Now, when the individual club goes to report what their club did at that, it is mandatory on the reporting to put how many people, how many hours was reported. How do you do that then without double counting people?
So, Lion Kathy, great question. You would put 0 because then the number would be reported by the GST coordinator for the accurate number. Because for example, if you only have a supply of 200 flu vaccines, so you only 200 people receive that, each person of that 200 received the vaccine. If you report each club saying 200, well, you technically didn't have 200 per each club that gave the vaccine. So what is the actual right number? So you have to go with the number of supplies that you're doing to give. In regards to the actual service in the people served, you're going to put the number 0. 0 is a numerical number that could be entered into the system.
Now, I would like to, somebody is raising his hand. He is also our District 4C4 District Service Chair, and Leo Lion August.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to act more like a moderator and just acknowledge that we do have a lot of questions in the chat, even before people started asking questions verbally. So the first one was from Lion Tom. Did you want to say yours, or do you want me to just read it out?
If you read it out, I've actually been in private chats after that one as well. But
okay.
It is the entire idea and the topic that we're discussing right now is very interesting. Just by the way, so
yeah, okay. So I'll just read out. How do you report Lions involved with non-Lions events? And I do remember having a conversation with Tom about this. So I'll give like sort of an example as, say, a Lion or a group of Lions volunteer at another community partner organization, and they don't know how much they specifically served, but they know how much the collective group of which, you know, they are a subset served. How would you you know, sort of get the data there?
So in regards, we've done this in multiple different areas. When you're working with community organizations, they typically have an idea of the actual people served. You would just have to inquire on who's actually and how many people will be benefiting from, like, food packing of prepared meals, or putting a packet of books up, a bag for school supplies. The organization would have an idea of an estimate of how many people would benefit from the service that a Lion did at that particular project. And then in regards to if it's multiple groups of Lions, you would just have to agree on how you want to divvy up the number of people that you got. Like, say if there's 3 of you from 3 different clubs, and the person at this community organization says, we did 300, everybody did a total of 500 bags, then you and the 3 would just divide that number and give that to your club secretary.
Okay, did that do your question justice, Tom?
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if everyone were to coordinate, right? I mean, he was auditing the numbers, right? I mean, you serve the community. The goal of the Lions is to provide community service. So if there are 600 people involved, you know, or being served, right? And we know those numbers specifically. Yeah, we're going to be serving 600 people, 600 kids today, and I'm going to do my part of it, right? And I'll be serving those kids. I have no idea who else is involved in this, but I'm going to be doing, you know, my part. And at the end of the day, do I need to look and ask, okay, so how, like, am I 4%? Right? Am I 4% serving? Because I know that I'm giving my all to serve those 600 kids during this. And I'm pretty sure that everyone else that day is also giving it all to do that. I would like to sit there and, you know, they kind of walk it and smile and say, hey, I helped out. Oh, 600 kids were served. Awesome. And I was there for the full event, right? And I can walk away with a smile on my face saying, hey, you know, I helped out, you know, with a service activity that helped 600 kids. And
Thank you very much, Lion Tom. I think there is a. Oh,
yeah, laptop locked up. Sorry, I'm trying to end it and just make that point and mute myself. Sorry.
I
Not
see
a problem.
Lion PDG Thelma also had her hand raised from a long time.
Yes, what I wanted to say is just it might be too simplistic, but just so we're clear before we leave this meeting, and you can do it with your GST person or the club. So the host club, for example, if you have 3 different clubs there, the way to calculate the number of volunteer hours is how many people you're there, whether they're serving the food, they did not really talk to the person, is the number of hours. The number of volunteers per club times the number of hours they were there. So they won't be necessarily be 8 hours there, but 4 hours. 5 members of my club came at 4 hours. That's the number of hours my volunteer. Now the number of people served, there a great example was given. The number of vaccines is the number of people served, and that is divided by the host of the event. So if there were 3 clubs but only 1 person arrived from 1 club, then you kind of have that, really make it like a logical solution. Don't complicate those things. The other thing is the number of backpacks, because my district do different putting together the backpacks, but in the end we had 2,000 backpacks, and how many people were there and how many from each club. So just make sure that we don't over report anyway. It just makes sense that way, so you feel better rather than trying to have each one have 2,000 people serve. It was not really, but it was
thank you
only
very much,
2,000
Lion.
backpacks. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you,
And,
Lion
okay.
PDGS
Yeah.
Thelma. And
Well,
I think we have
one more,
Lion
Dr.
PDG
Jun.
have been raising his hand. Oh, you're not yet. You're not
Sorry.
yet done.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. One more. I just want to say this. So when you have a meeting, you mentioned about the meeting for this project. You need to report that meeting as well as the planning. So when you're doing services, you need to count that too. So meetings, if you have 1 hour of your club meeting, but only not all of it was done, you can probably say 0. But you did have a couple of meetings just to make sure that this project goes to really, the planning of it. That's the number of hours that's calculated in. So you have to write that in another meeting. It's a meeting for a project. Okay, that's a service. That's a service. Yeah. Thank you.
Great points, PDG Thelma. One thing that PDG Thelma did point out in regards to the meetings, that could also be to just simplify the whole process and not have to try to figure out who gets what and what did one person contribute, what club contribute. You can just decide at that meeting which club is going to be the initiating club that will be reporting the whole service project. And then in your description, you can mention that it was a multiple clubs that participated. Then that's a solution to having to try to figure out all the other components if one club's reporting. But of course, we want to be sure that everybody is in agreement on what they are actually doing and who's going to be actually reporting the actual number of people served.
Thank you very much. And before we go to Lion, Esther has been raising his hand, and there is on the chat, and in that context, he said that Lion Uni Buckley, who's the charter president of Bay Area Lions Club, who usually prepares or gives food to the volunteers, and he said that the number of hours used cooking the food before the time before the start of the flu shot is also counted, which is true. That is part of your service, you know, especially if the food is for the frontliners. What you usually do, they always cook food for the frontliners in different hospitals. This club is well known for that. Now I would like to go to PDG Esther. You've been raising your hand for a long time. Please
Line Esther,
unmute
you're on mute.
yourself.
Okay. So I think the difficulty lies in the people has one project and they're doing portions of it. That's where the difficulty lies, although it tantamounts to 100 service. So we partner with one club only, my club, and it's easier for us because ours is each group, each person does something different. So what I do, even if they did, the whole group did 100, I only did 20 or 30 vision screening. So even I am there for that same length of time, I only serve actually 20 or 30 people. So that's the only number that I put in, even though there's 100 people served. So that's my portion of my service for that particular project. So I count because I have my own sign in for the people that I serve. So that's how I count my report from my own personal. And the rest of the people can count the total number because they are one club and I am one club. So for them, that will be a total for, because they have so many nurses, say 10, 12 nurses, 100 people served. And I will be the 20, 30, myself and my husband. And the hours with time, but only serve a portion of the 100. So that's what I normally input for my service. And if I did a share on the food, and that would be the amount of money.
Yes, Line Esther, see, if when people plan ahead and actually are considering, like, you need to, like, see, then that becomes less complicated when you're actually reporting onto the service. Because if you already know for yourself, Line Esther, that you've only served 20 people, and then you give it to your club secretary, and then they ask the other people, like 2 or 3 other members from your club that participated, hey, how many did you, from that sign-up sheet, how many actually did you actually serve directly? Then the number isn't as large. Then it's very very direct. It's very focused, and it reflects what is. If you say that you and your member of your club, then go on to the service activity, saying you were doing the food for the volunteers and for the people that are participating in your event, then that should be the service report that you're reporting. If you're saying, like, we're doing a clinical drive, then that number of the entire event then has to be reported. But it can't, like, you can't just say, oh, I served 100 people, because you're not there for that whole period. That's why I recommended having the GST coordinator or the leading club to report the overall main number. And if you're just talking about the component of the service that you did, then it makes sense to report that in that particular portion, because then it's very detailed in regards to your role in that service project.
Thank you very much, Line Richard. And I think Line Eleanor, 1 minute, please. I give you 1 minute, Line Eleanor. You raise your hand.
Right, I need to unmute myself. Line Richard, you know, when we do a regular clinic, I put in the chat, when we do blood pressure, we count how many blood pressures we did. We count how many cholesterol and how many glucose. The reason being is that LCI asks us to get a complete count on each of those services. They want to know what services we are delivering and how many to each person, right? So when I questioned them about the flu shot clinic, because it was so different, they said they wanted to know the details. So I told them what we were doing, and they said, the person at the first station who is taking the temperature, he can count how many people he's actually taking their temperature. He can count that. Now, the second station is actually giving them a report to fill out and making sure they sign the non-disclosure, right? So he can count that he's doing that. He's spending all those hours there. And the reason they want to know specifically what they did, even though the GST would in fact report that service overall, they want to know what that person in that club did, or those club members did during the hours that they were there. They want to know it. It's not that they want you to double count. If you can say that the GST has already reported the 500 people, say, that were taken care of, that's good. But if you're in business, you have to report all the data. The data is what they're looking for. They want to know how you serve. So whether you are having someone at a station signing non-disclosure, or taking temperatures, or giving flu shots, or helping them to their cars and in the driveway, they want to know that. Why? Because that's how they raise money. They don't just raise money based on the amount of people that you, in fact, take care of. They raise it based on the amount of people plus what each person is actually doing. So
Line
that's why
Eleanor,
they want a full report.
you're more than enough the time given to you, because
Sorry.
there's we have a lot in chat. And Line August.
Wait, sorry then, because I think I'll add to it. But I'm the GST coordinator, or one of them, for Lion Eleanor's district. And I think I've had a conversation with this briefly, or well, maybe not so much briefly. But I'll say that the direction that I've given, that I've sort of given to others, sort of limited knowledge as it may be for me, being a new Lion and a new GST, is that it has to pass, and I mean, Lion Tom says this as well, it has to pass a smell test. And for me, that is, say, one example that was given was a health fair in which Lions clubs, jointly give different services like flu shots, blood pressure, etc. Vision screening is another one. And now we all know as Lions is that each of those individual services are things that Lions do often, like independently. Like Lions go to schools and they do vision screening. So the fact that they're doing it all together in what we call a health fair, as long as the Lions keep that separately and they report very transparently that their service is vision screening, blood pressure, etc., then they can report how many people that they served. And it just happens to be coincidentally that they happen to be right next to each other at the same place. But those are different services, and they're even different service causes. So those are separate service activities, right?
Lion August, yes, that is actually correct. Because if you say just health fair, then it doesn't allow it to really break down. In regards to what we were talking about earlier, and because if it goes back to the vaccine, the vaccine, that's the overall that was available for the health fair. That's the number of people. But when you're talking about like particular focus, like club ABC just did blood pressures, then it's that particular service that you need to report, not the health fair in itself, because the healthcare in itself has a set number. That is actually correct. In reporting, people need to be very specific when they put in the service title, and that Lions of ABC did blood pressure, then it's very focused. Okay, understandable. You know, then that's the people that you actually served, and you put the actual number there. But to put it under the one umbrella health fair, then it gets complicated. Then
Yeah.
each club wants to get their credit for the service of what was done in that health fair. But you know, you also have to be very, each club, if you're doing multiple projects together that are combined and joint, you need to be very specific on who is reporting what information. Because if you say it's health fair could mean so many things. That you're providing service altogether for a big group, and doesn't really allow you to talk specifically for your particular contribution. For example, Lion Esther's Club could be the ones that just did preparation for the food and distributing the food. Then that would be the particular focus of what they would be reporting, preparing, and distributing for service community event. I think there was another question.
Thank you
Oh,
very much,
wait,
Lion
wait.
Richard. I think that is very, very important. That's very clear. You know,
Yeah, wait.
this service reporting of a specific cost, because again, as you mentioned, again, in a health fair, usually we do a one area, they do blood glucose, that is glucose on the diabetes, and the another area is vision screening. So that's another cost.
Oh, did I cut
And
you off?
another one
August?
giving the food, so hunger. So I think that is a very good point. Lion August.
Yeah. Just to finish my thought, I did so regarding the smell test. We acknowledge that it is sort of a gray line, because it has to, each report has to stand on their own. So a counter example that I have is say 2 Lions clubs serve together in a crab feed. One Lions club cooks the crab, the other one brings the crab out. Now, those 2 Lions clubs shouldn't report, if there's 100 people eating crab that night, each Lions club shouldn't say, 100 people and then that, because I feel like at that point, one service project isn't possible without the other. You can't bring out a crab without having a crab cooked, and you can't, vice versa. So when it gets down to that minutia, the service is feeding one person crab, and those Lions clubs should split that 50-50 or in whatever proportion that they want to, just because you can't get into the nitty gritty, because it's disingenuous to Lions International to say that we're serving 200 people when only 100 people ate. And I think that's what Richard was originally referring to.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I think we are only Line August. Can you check on the chat, because there's a lot of questions on the chat, so that at least this will be addressed.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I had probably a very quick question for Lion Richard. How does LCI feel about long duration reports? See, I have some clubs that really don't like reporting. So what they do is they report every month, saying that this report was for the whole month, and every weekend, they did this event, and they served total across the entire month, this many people, this many hours, sort of large bulk reports. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, because we also have recurring reports that you just have to indicate if it's something that's going to be, for example, if the club works with the local pantry every Sunday, then that's reoccurring. You just have to make sure the dates are there. But the issue is you can't, the max of people that you could actually report is 3,000. So that needs to be taken into consideration as well for long periods. Well, it also depends on if that food pantry has large quantities of people coming through its doors on a regular basis. Does that make sense?
So don't make reports larger than 3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and as long as they're detailed in the description on what took place and what happened, it gives us a good sense of what was occurring and what organization they were participating. So it's like, okay, that's actually accurate, because that's the number of people that organization typically gets preferably, I always recommend folks to break it down for their service, because then it just becomes easier to read.
Yes.
Also, if somebody is in your district or in another community, if you made your service project public when you report it, it at least gives somebody an idea of what they kind of need to do and how they should be reporting. And also they could also reach out to that lion, the club secretary from that club, to say, hey, I'm really interested in learning about your service project. I see in your description, you guys did X, Y, and Z. What would you recommend for us to do first from your best lessons learned? It's kind of a way of kind of sharing best practices and knowledge with one another in a sense.
That makes sense. And well, I mean, for some of these clubs, it's kind of hard to even get them to report in the first place. So I'm not going to push my luck and tell them to split the reports up. But for others, yeah.
So as long as you have the dates, if they give you large chunks, then you could just break it down on the dates that they give you, and it'll probably be easier if you just ask them specifically when they took place. And if they still give you a whole, then there's really nothing you can do besides to report that.
Okay, another one briefly mentioned previously was reporting meetings or sort of support service activities that lead up to an actual service activity. Is there any difference between reporting a meeting for planning a service activity as a separate activity with 0 people served, or including those hours within the actual service activity on the day of?
So the meetings should be always separate because they were in the preparation. That's a different event that took place from the actual event. You could, but it doesn't make sense, because if you weren't there for 16 hours, you individually, why would you report that you were there for 16 if you're only there for like 4 or 5 hours for that project? So that's why we always recommend report when you're participating in a meeting. Then it doesn't kind of come, it goes back to accurate data reporting. You want to make sure the information is accurate, because we know that not everybody's going to be at a service project for long periods of time, but having an idea of what your commitment was, and then if you also write that in the description, like a PDG Thelma, a Lion Esther, Lion Eleanor were there for 3 hours, and these were they covered the morning shift. Lion Eleanor, Lion Eleanor.
Yes.
It was covering the morning shift, and then Lion Esther covered the afternoon, and then Lion Thelma covered the rest of the service that before closing. And then that's how, that makes more sense. It's more detailed, and it gives a better picture of the actual hours that were reported. But not everyone's going to have that information. It's something that needs to kind of just be kind of like informed, like best kind of sharing best practices.
Thank you very much, Lion Richard. I think it's getting late, and I think we will have only maybe last 3 questions, so that at least I promise Lion Richard that this will only take 45 minutes, and we are already stretched to 1.5 hours.
So I just want to throw it really quickly. I don't know if Dr. Jun Valera, VDG, Dr. Jun Valera can also share. I'll share my email and also the contact information from my colleague, Morgan. She was the one that I was going back and forth in regards to in preparation for tonight's meeting in regards to the service reporting of multi-group and large function events. Oh, and I don't know if you want me to answer 2 or 3 more questions, or
I think I will forward if we get the email or something, we can forward it. So because I know that it's getting late, I know that this is very, very informative, and we learn a lot of things. And I think the most important is we should learn, or we should encourage our clubs to report. Reporting. Usually there's less than 50% of the clubs reporting. And those reporting, they're not even reporting 100% of their activity. We know that even this time of COVID pandemic, a lot of clubs are doing something in their community. And I think the most important, I think the reason why is they don't have time to report because they're doing services. But I think I don't know, maybe the technology. That's why I encourage them, maybe get 3 numbers only. The number of volunteers, the number of hours volunteers, and the number of people served. So I think we'll make it simple so that we can encourage them to report, and we'll make sure that the zone chairs, or I think we should have a service reporting police. There's a lot of clubs, they put all their services in Facebook. All Facebook, they're doing services almost every week, and yet there's nothing in the report. There's nothing. Even big clubs, they're doing a lot of things, but they are not reporting. We should encourage them to report. So is there any other question?
I like Kathy, GST Kathy's question. You want to ask that out loud?
Line, Kathy?
So is everybody going to go back to the club and report tonight's meeting? Everybody gets 1 volunteer or 2, depending on how many's from your club, and I get 0 for service. People serve, but I mean that's how you do it, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Except for Lion Richard, of course. He gets how many people he's trained, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he serves all of us.
And in regards to training, if you guys are doing like service training, be sure to give that to your GLT coordinator. That's so they can report the training hours and the event, because then at least also goes to training and data collection for leadership. That's so we can better build out other training development programs within LLC, or like programs that when we do out in the community, and also gives an idea of what Lions actually need in regards to having like particular discussions like this. Maybe this might become a specific training that can become developed on how to actually report and plan large service events. So we could have those kinds of actual training discussions, so a lot of the questions that were brought up could actually be addressed in that formal training.
Actually,
Thank you
honestly,
very much.
If you could pass that back, like I really feel like the LLC needs how to report service training. Like really, like I don't know how many times that would have saved me from explaining something.
So there are a couple of recordings that have been posted on the virtual event center. If you go to past under English, it's there, it's available. It probably might be a little bit towards the beginning, but there's been a few that have been done on there as well. And I know if you reach out to me or anybody from services, they probably get you a recording that's been done like at least with the most updated information.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much. And again, we do service because we are Lions. That's what we do. And we do to help our community. However, the LCI provides a Kindness Matters top 20, 18 is Lions and 2 Leos. And they also provide 20, that is Presidential Award, and they provide, I think, 20 International Leadership Award for the top 20 clubs providing the services. So again, that is only the award that they can have, but the most important is serving our community. So In behalf of everybody, I would like to thank Lion Richard for sharing his expertise regarding on this matter, and I hope that you can this get together of all lion leaders of the world. I know, so we'll have expect that there's another topic on probably next month, and I think the next one is the young lions, you know, the Leo lions or the young lion leaders in different countries. So again, thank you very much, and I gave you the PDG Esther. Can you have the last word? Unmute yourself, Lion PDG.
Thank you, everyone, for participating in our meeting. And thank you very much, Dr. Jun, for seeing the needs of our district and also the other district. This is a very valuable information for us so we can do an accurate reporting of all your services. That's all we can do, report it. So we'd like to thank you for your services. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.